Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Today we've got one more pack of Chronicles Booster Pack to open here from 1995. We opened up one of these a long time ago, and then we picked up 3 more, and we've gone through 2 of those so far. And we are down to our last Chronicles Booster Pack of this series. It's the 3rd one in the series. As of the filming of this video, sealed Chronicles Booster Packs are trading for $29.89 on TCG Player. It's definitely worth a lot more in this sealed condition, but we'll pick up more of these. I think there can't be too many of them left out there, even though they printed a million or a billion of these packs. The most expensive cards in the set that we're looking for is Concordant Crossroads, which was reprinted from Legends, and City of Brass, that was reprinted from Arabian Nights. There's also Blood Moon, that was reprinted from the Dark. And those 3 cards are very, very playable in old school. These cards were printed in 1995, but in some old school formats, you're allowed to use reprints with the same art, same border. So in a lot of formats, Chronicles cards are legal, and they're a much more cost-effective way to play some of those $100, $200 cards. All right, we did pretty good on this pack. There is a Fallen Angel on the cover of this pack, on the front of it, by Anthony Maddox, so spoiler alert. There's that. That's Fallen Angel. And now we'll fan the cards out. There's 12 cards in this pack. And there's like 2 uncommons and a rare, and 9 commons. I think that's the math on these packs. So these are in great shape. They feel just like our Fallen Empires, Ice Age cards, 4th edition cards. And right off the bat, we get an Urza's Tower. That's great. Mark Poole art on this one. I believe this is the Sunset Fall artwork. We can check it up just to see where we're at. In today's pricing, there were 4 arts. There were mountains, plains, forest, and the shoreline. So this is the shoreline. It does remind me of his Purple Island from Alpha Beta. But 50 cents on Urza's Tower. It adds 1 colorless mana to your mana pool if you control Urza's Bind and Tower and Power Plant. This adds 3 colorless to your mana pool instead. So I think if you have all 3 of the Urza's lands, instead of adding 1 colorless each, they add 2, 2, and 3. So then you could tap the 3 lands together and make 7 colorless mana, if that's math is correct. It's kind of the Voltron method of mana bases. So we have Goblins of the Flarg, which is also pretty cool. 1 red, it's a 1/1 goblin. It has Mountain Walk, and anytime you control dwarves, you bury Goblin of the Flarg. So can't do goblins and dwarves at the same time, but I guess unless you're drafting or accidentally doing random deck making, that shouldn't be a problem. The art is really cool by Tom Vannerstrand. These 2 goblins in the foreground. We'll just check price too while we got it. See if any of these commons are worth anything. 10 cents. Let's put Tower there. Let's put goblins there. Gazban Ogre, one of our favorite cards from Arabian Nights. During your upkeep, the player with most life gains control of Gazban Ogre. If the highest life total is shared by more than 1 player, the player currently controlling Gazban Ogre retains control of it. I had an idea to make a deck with like Gazban Ogre and Rainbow Veil and a bunch of cards that changed ownership. It'd just be kind of fun to keep track of cards going back and forth on the playing field. We also have Goblin Shrine. That's another goblin card here. As long as target land is a mountain, all goblins get +1/+0. If Goblin Shrine leaves play, it deals 1 damage to each goblin. That's pretty bad. Most goblins are 1/1, so you need to pump your goblins up. We also have Wall of Vapor, which we may have seen before. Richard Thomas did a lot of walls in his day. alpha, beta legends included. This wall is a 0/1 wall, and damage dealt to it by creatures it blocks is reduced to 0. So I guess you have to like take it out with Prodigal Sorcerer or Acacian Javelineers, something like that. Dandan, sweet. All right, so Dandan is an awesome card from Arabian Nights. This was reprinted in Chronicles, obviously. And current TCG pricing on a reprinted Dandan is 43 cents. So that's up there with Urza's Tower. It cannot attack if defending player controls no islands. So you need to put this like in a Merfolk deck where you make sure your opponent has islands. It is a 4/1 creature for 2 blue. And if at any time you control no islands, you must bury Dandan. So pretty good creature, 4/1 for 2 blue mana. Just got to put it in a Merfolk deck and make sure your opponent is playing islands. Fish Liver Oil also works in a Merfolk deck. This is great. This goes really well with Dandan. It's enchantment for 1 colorless, 1 blue, and it gives your target creature island walk. So if you're playing like a Merfolk deck with Lord of Atlantis and Merfolk with the Pearl Trident, once you cast Lord of Atlantis, your Merfolk get island walk. But if you're playing any other creatures like Dandan, for example, you could enchant Dandan and give Dandan island walk. That's pretty awesome. So almost done. We have Indestructible Aura, which we've seen before. Any damage dealt to target creature for the rest of the turn is reduced to 0. You could use that to protect your Dandan if you wanted to. And then Marhalt El's Dragon is good in Commander for 3 colorless, 2 red and a green, 6 total mana, converted mana cost, CMC. It's a 4/6 legend with Rampage of 1. Check the price real quick. I think a lot of these reprinted legends are not too expensive. So if you want to build a red-green deck, you can get this one for 15 cents. And then that should be the rare. We have the 2 uncommons. Fallen Angel, which we saw on the top of the pack. Take a look at that price real quick. It's a 3/3 angel flying creature for 3 colorless and 2 black. Pay 0 to sacrifice a creature to give Fallen Angel +2/+1 until the end of turn. 24 cents. So if you had a ton of creatures like zombies, maybe you could give yourself +2/+1 for every zombie. We also have, let's see, Aisha Tanaka. That was one of my favorite cards way back in the day. It's also a legend from Legends. This is white and blue though. So if you're playing Tundras, like a blue-white deck, this is chromium looking soldier, it looks like. And it has banding. It's a 2/2 for 4 mana. 2 white, 2 blue is a 2/2. And you tap Aisha Tanaka to counter target artifact effect requiring an activation cost unless the artifact's controller plays white. You can play this as an interrupt. So it works as kind of like a artifact counter if you're playing like a control counter deck. We'll check the price on this one. See what it's worth in 2023. It's trading at 23 cents, very appropriate for 2023. And the final card of the pack of this Chronicles Booster pack is Azure Drake. I don't think that's a super big hit. 2/4 flying Drake for 3 colorless and a blue with some awesome art there by Dan Frazier. It's kind of a vanilla dragon. But let's just check the price anyway. Send you off the rest of the day here. Down to 15 cents. So Aisha Tanaka, Marhalt El's Dragon. Those were some of the bigger hits of the pack. We also had Dan Dan, Urza's Tower, those are all playable. We love all the Fallen Empires reprints in the deck. Let's take a snapshot of Aisha Tanaka here. That's awesome. Cool. Appreciate everyone for watching this Finals Chronicles video. The last thing we're going to do is put our Chronicles booster packs in our box of pack wrappers. We have stored these over the years to keep them nice and flat. Those will just go right in there. And then as we open up more packs on the channel, we'll just save those in here. Keep the packs wrappers in mind for arts projects, for box decorating and all the fun things like that. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Appreciate you for watching. Stay tuned for more Magic content and pack openings on the channel.